Welcome to my channel, Chill Silence. This is my first video and I'm glad to have you here. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Before we begin, I must warn you, what you're about to hear is not for the faint of heart. This story is rooted in reality and it might be difficult to hear. If you're under 18 or alone, I recommend you stop watching. If you're still with me, make sure you have someone nearby. In 1974, a house stood silent in Amityville, New York, a house that would forever be etched in history as the scene of a gruesome massacre. 6 members of the DeFeo family were murdered in cold blood. This is the true story of that haunting night. The DeFeo family consisted of 7 members: Ronald DeFeo, his parents, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Ronald, the oldest son, worked with his father at a local car dealership. Life to outsiders seemed ordinary. But in the DeFeo household, dark secrets simmered beneath the surface. On November 13, 1974, Ronald went to work like any other day. But this time something felt off. His father didn't show up at the dealership, which was unusual. When Ronald tried to reach him, his calls went unanswered. That unsettling feeling gnawed at him, but he carried on with his day, unaware that a nightmare was unfolding at home. Later that evening, when Ronald returned home, he found his car parked outside. The house, however, was locked. He checked the windows and that's when he saw it, the horror inside. 6 bodies, each one shot at close range. His mother, father, siblings, all lying lifeless in their rooms, some even in their beds. A bloodbath that would shake the town to its core. Ronald, in disbelief, immediately called the police. When the police arrived, they found no sign of forced entry, no signs of a struggle. The doors were locked from the inside and nothing was missing from the house. No valuables, no money. The police turned to Ronald, who was the only surviving member. But what really made them suspicious was the story he told, and his strange behavior. Under intense questioning, Ronald DeFeo confessed to the murders. But something was off. His voice sounded strange, deeper, almost like an older man's. His eyes were bloodshot, and his demeanor was erratic. It was as though the man sitting before them wasn't the same Ronald they had known. In December 1975, just over a year after the murders, the Lutz family moved into the house. But they would soon discover that it wasn't just the memories of the DeFeo family that lingered, it was something far darker. The Lutz family began experiencing strange occurrences. Foul smells, temperature shifts, and unsettling noises filled the house. But the most terrifying event happened one night. George Lutz awoke to find his wife, Kathy, floating in midair above their bed. Paralyzed with fear, he screamed, but the entity didn't relent. It was as if the house had come alive with malevolent energy. The Lutzes contacted a priest, hoping he could cleanse the house of its dark forces. The priest, however, reported strange occurrences during his visit. His hands burned when he touched the walls, and he heard a disembodied voice calling his name. He fled, warning the family that something evil had taken root in the house. After just 28 days, the Lutz family fled in terror, leaving behind their belongings, unable to explain the horror they had faced. Despite taking a lie detector test to prove their experience, many dismissed their claims as exaggerations. But the Lutzes never returned. The house, to this day, remains shrouded in mystery. After the DeFeo murders, something even stranger happened. No one in the neighborhood heard the gunshots. Despite the police recreating the scene, no one could explain how the silence persisted. It was as if the house itself had absorbed the screams. Was the house haunted? Or was there something far darker at play? Perhaps Ronald DeFeo suffered from a mental break, or maybe there was something else, something supernatural, that pushed him to commit such horrific acts. What do you think? Was it the house that caused the DeFeo murders, or was it something darker within Ronald himself? Whatever the truth may be, the Amityville horror remains one of the most chilling real-life mysteries of our time. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any similar stories, share them in the comments below. Who knows, your story might be featured in my next video. Stay tuned and stay safe.